Saturday Racing. It's May 18th, 2019. We have winds out of the east at about 12 miles an hour. Oh, it's a beautiful day out here because the clouds are keeping us in the shade. 40 seconds to go. There's the starting line. And we have a windward leeward course set up. And there's a bullseye out here racing with us. And there's 25 seconds to go. I like how this boat is up on the line. That's Filbert. And you know, you want to be up on the line going fast when the signal goes off. We have 15 seconds. It's a bit shorter line than we usually use, but this is about the size for a fleet of this size that you should have. Okay, so there's 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. All clear! And it looks like Filbert was on the line going fast at the favored end. Violet pulled a very bold move there, starting on port. And actually, you know, that's the closest tack to the mark, to the weather mark. So I think they could be ahead right now. It's between them and Filbert. All right. Oh, now Peanut's not looking too bad either since they tacked. And it looks like the wind may have shifted a little bit to the left. That's a backing shift. And, you know, when it shifts left and you're on the left, you gain on the boats to the right. So this is why I think Peanut may be in first right now. Now, Filbert just tacked back over to port. And they may be... They may be in the top two also. Well, we'll see. Some of it depends a bit on what the wind gods decide to do and which way the direction goes. Here are the weather mark. And there's Filbert. Here's Peanut. I think if Filbert would have tacked sooner onto port, they'd be winning this thing. But they just got on the wrong side of a shift. So Peanut is going to probably round first. We'll see. It could be tight here. And once they go around this weather mark, they'll head for that offset mark over there and then head dead downwind to the finish. All right, so Peanut's going to go around first. We have a port starboard situation here. Possibly, but nah, it's not close. Filbert's going to get their tack finished before Violet gets to them. And looks like somebody forgot to let the jib go on Filbert when they tacked. There we go. And here are some of the newbies on Paul. And there's the bullseye. So we got a little bit of rain here cooling things down. But it looks like it'll be over in about 2 minutes. Alright, so they're heading dead downwind, and if I was Filbert, I would get my wind shadow right on Peanut and blanket them. And I think they are doing that. And if you're Peanut, you want to make a getaway. You want to get the heck out of there. So I would, if I was Peanut, I would head up, get away from this group of boats. And Filbert's doing a good job of winging their jib and keeping it full. So they're pulling ahead of Peanut. So Peanut needs to sharpen up. They need to heat it up and get their VMG, that's velocity made good, to the next objective up. And Filbert's doing a better job of sail trim and has now pulled ahead of the group. So and so Peanut, the green boat, needs to maybe head up some more, sharpen it up, heat it up, get the boat going a little faster, and get away from the wind shadow of those boats behind them. So here's the finish line, and we're having a little bit of a duel between these two. And it looks like Filbert's going to probably go first, but Peanut is gaining rapidly on them. And, oh, look at that. Peanut hit the mark. But Squirrel is first, Filbert second, Paul third. Looks like Paul passed Violet on this downwind leg. Violet fourth. And we have a bit of a collision over here. Here we are at the start of race number 2. And we have 35 seconds to go. I like how this boat is up on the line. Now you got to be careful of boats trying to get a lured overlap and run you up, because they'll then have the rights. 20 seconds. Yeah, so the red sailboat and number 1, Filbert, they're up on the line going fast. I think the green boat's too early. They need to slow down by doing S turns. Okay, there's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, yeah. All clear! Okay, so, yeah, they were over, but they're clear now. All right, so it looks like the blue boat, Paul, got the best start. They're going fast. And they need to watch the competition here. And I, think it's safer if they take a tack like they just did, and just kind of go up the middle. Now you see how the green boat's just moving like crazy and the red sail boat is going slow. They're pinching, and so the green boat's passing them. So the red sail boat needs to bear off a little bit. You see how much faster the green boat is going through the water. Now the green boat can actually they're in acceleration mode. They're going really fast, but they need to get in pointing mode and trim that jib in, and they'll point a little better. All right, and I like how the blue boat is covering the competition by tacking over in this direction and staying with the other boats, because by covering, you are less likely to be adversely affected by wind shifts that go against you. So they're doing a good job. And here comes Filbert. All right, let's see what happens. The blue boat tacked on Filbert, who's right about, where is he? He's right there. And gassed him. And you see how Filbert fell back and fell way to leeward. Peanut, we thought, was going to cross the blue boat, Paul, but they didn't quite do that, and they went behind them. So right now the blue boat's in the lead. They've been sailing a really well thought out weather leg, staying right up the middle, tacking on the shifts, and tacking on their competition and gassing them when they could. So that's some nice sailing there. All right, so the blue boat, Paul, is going around first. Nice. Ooh, got to get that jib drawn. It's luffing a little too much. And then so now Filbert tacked in front of Violet. Now they need to get their weight down and their sails in so they don't have to tack again. And in these relatively flat seas, you can get away with heading up the way they did with a sharp luff to just ooch their way around that mark. So in heavier waves, they wouldn't have gotten away with that. The waves would have stopped them. And they would have had to tack, and they would have lost a couple boat lengths. All right, here we are at the offset mark, and the blue boat's already around. Here these boats go. And now, if I'm in the green boat, I want to get my wind shadow right on this red sail boat. Try and gas them, blanket them, and pass them. So you just try and get right upwind from them. And it looks like they're doing a pretty good job. And I like how this boat has got their jib out wing and wing, and they have it drawing well. And the jib trimmer and the helmsman are working together very well to keep that jib drawing and maximize your sail area that's pulling you downwind. Notice how the blue boat is heeling to windward sometimes. That's fast because it reduces your wetted surface and drag. Alright, so we're heading for the finish. Alright, so the blue boat Paul was first, Filbert second, Violet third, Peanut fourth. We're going to get started in the next sequence right away. Here we are at the start of race number 3, and the winds have lightened up a little bit. It's down to about 9 miles an hour. And here's the fleet getting set up with 40 seconds to go. I like how this boat is ahead and to leeward of everybody, because then you're in the controlling position. You know, the leeward boat has rights over the windward boats, and they can run them up over the line. So they need to slow down, do S-turns, and block these other boats and drive them up, herd them up. All right, 20 seconds. See, and they're getting a little too far from the line. So the red sail boat, looking good. I like how they're up on the line and they're to leeward and ahead of this blue boat. The blue boat needs to slow down by doing S-turns. There's 6 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All clear! And it looks like the blue boat may have won that start. Or maybe even this green one. Yeah, actually I'm thinking the green one won. You know, they're all very even, but because of the port starboard rule, if any of these other boats down the line tacked over, they would have to duck behind the green boat. Now the green boat is needs to get their main in a little more. They're not pointing with the other boats, and if they get their main in, they'll point better. And the bullseye's in the wind shadow. These other boats, I'd tack away, go clear your air, get a nice clean lane of air. Now you see how the blue boat's been working up to windward? That's called getting weather gauge. This is a good thing that they're doing. They're just in pointing mode, and you know, if they trim their main a little bit, they'll point higher. And the green boat has trimmed their main, so they are pointing higher, and they're staying out of the wind shadow of these other boats. So they're playing it right. And so now the green boat has now, I think, pulled back into first, because they got that boat hooked up. Now they're getting way over to the left side, because the mark is like they're almost getting to the port tack ley line. So they need to think about tacking. If I was the green boat, I would tack right in front of those other 2 boats coming over on port and gas them. Yeah, they ought to go right now. Don't wait. Now maybe they're continuing over on starboard to force some of these boats to duck them, but I just think they're going too far to the left. So now I think Filbert has moved into the lead because of that. Wow, it's great sailing out here today. We got really nice winds and it's cool. For being 82 degrees, it doesn't feel 82. One of the reasons is because the water temperature right now, I think, is about 78, and that makes it cooler out here on the water than it is inland 5 miles. All right, so Filbert, I think, is in the lead. Now they need to trim their main about 2 inches because they're not pointing quite as well as the red sail boat Violet. You see, they're falling down on them, and the leeward boat has right of way, so the windward boat must stay clear. Looks like they're getting more into pointing mode, but they could trim their main in just a little bit. I'd say 2 inches would do it. Now Peanut's way over here, but they need to trim the jib just a little bit and get her moving. The weather mark, and look at this. Peanut has now moved back into the lead. I think that's Susanna steering. And I think they caught a little bit of a shift there. Shift to the left. They were on the left, and when that happens, you gain on those boats that went way right a lot. So good move, Peanut. They were having a few boat speed problems in the beginning, but it looks like they solved them. And here come the rest of the boats. The Bullseye's back there a ways. But because they have such smaller sail area, they can't keep up with the Harbor 20s today. Whoop, got to get that jib trimmed on the blue boat. All right, so Peanut was first around. There's Filbert. Now Filbert looks like they got that boat moving a little better than Peanut. And it's all about velocity made good on these downwind runs. So you want to balance the speed through the water with the angle to which you are approaching the finish line. So you want to try and figure out, okay, what's just the fastest way to get here? Should we head up higher and, heat it up a little bit? And because the boat does go a little faster when you head up, but you travel a longer distance when you head up because you're not heading directly to that finish line what's down there. So it's all kind of a balancing act. And so right now, actually, Peanut's not looking too bad. The jib trimmer and the helmsman must work together to keep that jib filled. And I like to heel the boat to windward about 15 degrees, and I think that would be faster. And that's kind of what Filbert's doing. And we have a neck and neck race going here. It looks like the blue boat has caught up and may pass the red sail boat. Here we are at the finish line, and Peanut waited till the very last minute to jibe. I think that's a very risky move. They should have jibed sooner because Filbert may have gotten in there, but Peanut's first. Filbert second. And it looks like Violet will be third with Paul fourth. And there's our Bullseye. All right. Beautiful sailing out here today. Here we are at the start of the next race, and there are 50 seconds to go. The wind is back up to about 11, 12. So you have to remember, when the wind velocity increases, you're going to make better time down that line, and it's easy to be over. So you want to be ready to do S turns to slow down. There's 30 seconds. And I like how the red sail boat is up in the lead. Now they're the leeward boat. Now they can control the whole fleet if they do it right. All right, 15 seconds. And they're looking really good. Now they need to get up on the line. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All clear. And I like where Violet is. They're looking good. Now the blue boat is looking really good. It looks like this wind went light on us and shifted right about 10 degrees. And so that favors the boats on this end of the line, like the blue boat. This is why they're leading the race right now. Now all they have to do is cover the fleet, and they have this race won. And you cover by staying in between your competition and the next objective, and just keep a nice clear lane of air and keep that boat moving fast. Now, right now, we got a little more pressure moving in, and it looks like it's going left. So they're getting knocked on starboard tack. And I would think about tacking, because you don't want to go to the corners of the course. it's too risky. Because if you go like to the left corner and somebody else is over by the right and they just get a little shift, like even just 5 degrees, they're going to gain on you big time. All right, now it looks like the red boat has slowed way down. They're pinching or something, and maybe they're in the wind shadow of the blue boat. They need to get out of there because they're going really slow. And look, they're getting knocked. They should tack. Tack now. Go now. Tack. Don't stay there. You're losing when you stay on that tack. I see Filbert's over. And now Paul is tacking. Good move. All right, let's see what happens. Here we are at the weather mark. And it looks like Paul, the blue boat, will round first. Followed by Violet. They've been sailing real well this race. We moved the offset mark in a little bit. It had been drifting. When the wind puffs in, those marks sometimes start sailing and they drag their anchors. All right. Here we are at the finish line. And Paul, the blue boat, will be first. They've had really good VMG. Velocity made good. This downwind leg. And then here comes Violet. And then we have Peanut and Filbert. And there's our bullseye. We're going to have one more race, and then we're going to head in. Here we are at the start of race number 5, and the winds have slacked off a little bit. It's down to about 8. I see more pressure way in the distance because I see little white caps down there. But until then, we'll probably see this 8 miles an hour. So you got to set up your approach for that. There's 35 seconds to go, and Filbert is jiving around. And you know, if they come in here, they need to get up by the line, but if they come in and tack in front of the rest of the fleet, they'll be in the controlling position. All right, 25 seconds. And the bullseye is the windward boat. They need to be careful because, you know, the leeward boats have right of way. There's 10. But see, they can dip down, find a hole and start. There's 7 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Bullseye over! And it looks like the blue boat won the start. That's Paul. And now they're moving up on the bullseye. Well, actually, the bullseye looks like they're kind of getting out of the way. There's some new pressure coming, which may change the wind direction. And actually, I think it's going to knock them on starboard. And when it does, they may want to tack back. Because, see, these two boats are going over the other side of the course. Now, the red sail boat is pinching too much. You see how their sails are luffing a little bit? And they're in the wind shadow of the green hull boat, so they either need to dive down and clear their air, get in a nice clean lane of air, or just tack over and get out of there, because they're getting bad air. All right, and these boats are getting way over to the left. Yeah, good move for the blue boat tacking. I think the other boat should tack on their hip. All right, let's see what happens. The red sail boat tacked away, cleared their air, which is good. Now, when you're behind like this, you need to be really aggressive on your windward leg tacks. So, you know, if you see any kind of a knock, you want to get over. You want to try and play those shifts as much as you can to make up distance and try and claw your way back up to the front of the pack. Here we are at the weather mark, and ooh, this is a real close race. Looks like Peanuts in the lead, and they just need to keep their clear lane of air and not get passed by any of these boats, and it looks like they're doing a good job of that. So they'll be first around, then comes Filbert, and then the blue boat Paul. But Paul needs to not let your jib luff like that. You know, you just ease it out an inch or two at a time. Don't let it luff. Keep that sail full and pulling. Now, we're on the run. Now, if the blue boat would jibe over to starboard, all right, they could force that other boat to jibe over and get out of their way, and they could preserve second place. So that would be a good tactical move right now, because starboard tack has right away over port. Now you see how Peanut here, the green boat's on starboard? Well, they're converging with these other boats. These other boats better be careful, because port has absolutely positively no rights whatsoever. So you got to stay way clear when you see a starboard tacker coming on the attack. Now, so I see the green boat going to attack Filbert, and Filbert's, I don't know whether they're aware that they're about to be a victim, and now, but that may allow the blue boat to sneak in there if they can keep their VMG up. Okay, so now the green boat forced Filbert to jibe, and they got to stay clear. And because the overlap between the green boat and Filbert was not obtained by the green boat approaching from behind, they can luff Filbert as fast as they want, and they can tap him out. So Filbert's in a very vulnerable position there. You need to be aware of that when you see an attacker coming. Wow, it looks like Peanut's taking off. All right, so the finish line's right over here. And let's line up here so we get this photo finish. See, it looks like, what do you think? Who's gonna get it? Is it Peanut? It's Peanut, Filbert, Paul, and Violet. We had the winning boat did a very good job of keeping the boat trimmed properly with the crew weight and the sail trim. I think that's why they won, because they didn't have the greatest start. But you also have this theory you're telling me about, the theory of relativity. What is that about?
As you get relatively close to the weather bar, it kind of stories.
Yeah, right. It does, yes. Just remember that next time. All right, now, on the downwind leg, we had one little teeny-weeny altercation, and just something to keep in mind for future reference. When you're approaching the finish line, there's a zone there around this mark, and it goes 3 boat lengths around it. There's a circle there. And so let's just say you're neck and neck with another boat. One's on starboard, one's on port, just like that, okay? Now, before you reach the zone, can this starboard tacker go over here and take him up as far as he wants?
Before the zone, yes. After the zone, no.
Yes, and yes. So just remember that. When these two boats hit the zone, you can't do that. This guy has to leave room for them to finish, okay? And somebody didn't leave room for the other boat today.
How do you know when
Naughty, naughty.
You have a question over here, Gary.
Yes, a question?
I'm curious, how do you know when you're in the zone? I mean,
Well,
is there a little yellow
you have
thing?
to estimate it, and it's 3 boat lengths from the mark. It's a circle that surrounds that, and sometimes in big regattas they'll have a judge boat sitting right there, so you know right where it is, because they're on the lookout for those
Or there's a dotted
naughty
line
sailors.
that you can look at the water. There's a dotted line all around.
Yeah, yes, I think I've seen that.
Red line.
After a few bottles of wine. All right. So, will the crew of problem.
Thank you.